Shalom, 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 and Boker Tov to everyone watching. Here are the ways of Israel. So many good things happening, Baruch Hashem, just prior to Shavuot. Shavuot is going to be this weekend, and we look forward to receiving the Torah, and a reminder to everyone that something spectacular happened during Shavuot. Each year we renew our commitment to Hashem and to His Torah, but also it's the custom that during the day of Shavuot we read and we study the Megillah of Ruth, or the Book of Ruth. I have posted in Spanish, for those of you, the whole entire study series that I did on the Book of Ruth, which is the very paradigm of conversions or converts. And as you learn and study the Book of Ruth, you're going to realize that there are some of the opinion that Ruth already had been converted before the whole interaction between her and Naomi, and also Orpah. It's a fascinating story on which today's rabbis based upon the rejection or discouragement of a convert at least 3 times. Keep in mind, it is only based on the Book of Ruth, and if you look at Naomi's discouragement, it's nothing compared to today's leaders. They go beyond the measure of discouragement. I mean, they really put cold water on anyone who wants to convert, literally. But it's very important that you study and learn the Book of Ruth. It's part of Torah knowledge, information, understanding where we get a lot of our laws from. Well, I want to go ahead straight to the point, and we are going to continue in this morning with our study with Sefer HaIkkarim. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at why God allowed certain changes, progression of revelation or changes to take place throughout the Jewish history or the biblical story. That's what we're going to be talking about, according to Rabbi Abel, which presents why it changed from Adam to Noah, from Noah to Abraham, and what changes were allowed and based on what, in order to make sure that the Torah really is not changeable. It doesn't change, but rather it basically goes through a progression of one level to another and increases. And so we're going to take a look at that this morning with a few minutes that we have available, which is not that many minutes. So let's jump right to it. Now, Rabbi Abel begins, and I'm going to say this before so I can be drinking coffee as I share with you these words. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiya bidvaro. We must now explain the reason for the change that we found, says Rabbi Abel. Namely, that which was forbidden to Adam was permitted to Noah, and that part of which was permitted to Noah was forbidden to Israel. In order to explain this properly, Rabbi Abel says, we must first inquire what was Cain's sin when he brought an offering to God from the fruit of the ground as a result of God refused to have respect unto him or his present. Was it that he did not bring the best of the sheep and the rams of Nebayoth as Abel did? Surely this is no sin. If this occupation was the tilling of the ground, and he prospered therein and brought of its fruit a present to God to thank him for his benefits, why did the Lord refuse to have respect unto him or his offering? It stands to reason that when a person receives a benefit from another, having been treated with food and drink, he should return thanks to his benefactors. Thank him, corresponding to the kindness which he received. He is not obliged to thank him for having clothed or enriched him. If he has done nothing of the sort, but the thanksgiving must correspond to the benefit received, it is not greater. That is no cause for criticism, and surely does not involve guilt. And if we say that Cain's sin consisted in the fact that he did not bring of the fruit of the tree, but only of the fruit of the ground, as we said before, this did not deserve such severe punishment as expressed in the verse. If thou doest well, shall it not be lifted up? If thou does not well, sin couches at the door. The question also suggests itself, since God favored Abel as well as his present, how is it that he was killed? Why did not the angel of God protect the God-fearing man and save him from death? Another question is, why is it that we read about Seth and that he begot a son in his own likeness after his image, while there is no such expression in reference to Abel, though God favored his present? The explanation of all this, I think, is as follows, says Rabbi Abel. In the killing of animals there is cruelty, rage, and accustoming oneself to a bad habit of shedding innocent blood. But the eating of flesh of some animals produced besides coarseness, ugliness, stupidity, as it's said and stated in the Bible. After prohibiting the food of certain animals to Israel, the text ends up saying, "Ye shall not make yourselves detestable, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby." The word translated as defiled is venitamim, and is written without an aleph, thus indicating that the forbidden food produce mental coarseness and obtuseness. And it's true, you eat meat and you get kind of like lazy and dumb and sluggish, as it were. That's true. The rabbis also say, in reference to this verse in the question, transgression of a law stupefies a person, as it says that ye should be defiled thereby. Read not defiled as venutimitatim, but stupefied, uvtimatem. This is the reason why, though the flesh of certain animals is good food and suitable for man, God chose to deprive him of the slight good of eating the meat in order to prevent the much greater evil which might result therefrom. This is why he forbade Adam the eating of animal food. He made up for the loss of good food by assigning to Adam vegetable food, which was very good and nourishing, wheat, barley, and the other seed-bearing plants that can be sown, also all of those trees which bear fruit having seed in them. To the other animals he gave for all food all green grass that has no seed that may be planted. The purpose of this was to show that the superiority of human species to other animals. When Cain and Abel were born and saw their father Adam laboring in the tillage of the ground and planting wheat and barley and other grains and nourishing himself by eating the plants, each one of them chose his own way, indicating that his purpose and his ideas and his practice. Cain took a tilling to the ground because he thought that only superiority of man to animal consisted in his ability to till the ground and live on the choice plants. Seeing that Adam lived on plants like the animals, he thought that the spirit is the same in all and that all die alike. And therefore he brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to thank God for the superiority, and he gave him over the plants. He did not bring an animal offering because he did not think that his superiority to them in the ability to the tilling of the ground was important enough to warrant bringing an offering. Part of his sin consisted, as we said before, in the fact of the ground, green vegetables. But this main offense was that he did not think that man's superiority to animal amounted to anything, although he thought that he was forbidden to kill animals because they were like him and were subject to death like him. And he thought too that man's purpose of man is to eat and drink and be merry. And since he fed on the plants like animals, Abel, on the other hand, thought that man was superior to the animals, but that superiority lay in the fact that he controls over them and can subdue them and make them to do his work. But he did not think that man was authorized to kill the animals. So far, human superiority did not reach, according to one opinion. Hence, we read in Abel, he also brought the firstling of his flock, that is the best of his flock. The meaning is he, too, thought like Cain that the man is not allowed to kill animals except for God as an offering to show that God is superior to both man and animal. For he remains forever, and while they perish. Man is superior only, he thought, in that he pastures them. He governs countries and so on. And this is why Abel was killed, because his opinion was close to that of Cain and more calculated to mislead men. Nevertheless, Abel held that man has superiority over the animals and controls them and is allowed to kill them for God, an opinion which is likely to lead to a recognition of general superiority of man over animals. And also he recognized the greatness of the Lord and brought of the firstborn of his flock and their fat ones. Hence God had respect unto Abel and his offering, because it was nearer to the truth of that of the opinion of Cain. But he did not have respect unto Cain in his offering, because he was very far from the truth. And since he thought that man had no superiority over animals, and failed to appreciate the greatness of God, and that he brought the fruit of the ground instead of the fruit of the tree, as we said before, therefore God said to him, Why art thou wroth? Why is thy countenance fallen? Now he's probably apparently in a state of depression here. If thou doest well, shall it not be lifted up? The meaning is, you are right. Man is born a wild ass. It has no superiority over the animal in actuality when he comes into the world, but has superiority potentially if he practices goodness and realizes the potentialities and recognizes the greatness of the Lord. If he does well, he will be lifted up above the animals. This is the meaning of the expression, if thou doest well, shall it not be lifted up? For this reason envy took hold of Cain. Oh, envy is such a problem in this world, in this human world. For this reason envy took hold of Cain, and he killed Abel, for he still held the opinion that man is not superior to the animal. And therefore he said to himself, since God favors Abel and his present, and clear this is permitted to kill animals, hence it's just lawful to kill Abel as any other animal. On the other hand, since Abel's opinion was not altogether correct, he was not protected by God from violence. Then, when God revealed himself to Cain and announced his punishment for the crime, Cain did not understand that to shed blood of a human being is more serious matter than to shed the blood of an animal. But he thought that he was punished for shedding human blood, so he would be punished for shedding animal blood. Since Adam was not permitted to kill animals, for the spirit of man and the spirit of the beast are alike. As one who dies, so does the other. This is erroneous opinion which remained among the descendants of Cain until Seth was born, who knew the superiority of man over animals, and as his father Adam did. Therefore it says in reference to him, and he, Adam, begot his own likeness after his image, for he alone was in the image of God like Adam, whereas those before him did not understand the dignity of the human form in them, in which is the image of God. According to these three opinions, Cain, Abel, and Seth, respectively, all mankind are divided into three classes. One class follows the opinion of Cain and think that more important human occupation is agriculture. They feel that hostility towards the political rulers and desire to kill them as Cain killed Abel. A second class follows the opinion of Abel, thinking that the politics is the most important pursuit and risk their life for political activity like Abel, because they think that it leads them to human perfection, as we are told concerning certain Roman rulers. So kings risk their lives for the sake of power which is natural to them, and as it was with Abel, and who was the first shepherd and ruler, and lost his life on that account. The third class follows the opinions of Seth, thinking that it's more important thing to worship God, despise power and other pleasures. As the opinion of Seth, it's not easily grasped at first sight, but he was followed by only a few rare individuals. But the opinion of Cain was widely prevalent among his descendants and our descendants today, and hence the earth was filled with violence on the account of their belief being that man has no superiority over the animal, and might is right. This is exactly what certain individuals in the global elitists is proposing, to eliminate and commit genocide, homicide throughout the globe, because they feel empowered as a right that because they involve themselves with this low level of eating meat, they want to propose that the world eat bugs, eat vegetarian style, eat meat that's veggie, and impose that view upon the whole world. And therefore they were corrupt, and they lived like animals, like beasts, like behemoths. For this reason, it was decreed that their names should be wiped out from the earth in the flood. When they were all destroyed and only Noah and those with him in the ark remained, God wanted to eradicate this opinion. Hence, when Noah, after leaving the ark, brought an animal offering to God because he knew that man is superior by virtue of his reason, can know him, his creator, and serve him better than the animals, can be thankful to God for this privilege, his offering was accepted with favor. And it says, and the Lord smelled the sweet savor. But he feared that unless this opinion was made firm, the children of Noah may deviate in the direction of Abel's idea and assume that God accepted their father's offering as he accepted Abel's offering, thus going back to the former errors and wrongdoings, and hence, immediately after the offering, he hastened to permit the killing of animals and eating of the flesh. As green herbs have I given you all. The meaning is that even Cain admitted the man is superior to the plants, since they are created for man. So all animals are also for the sake of man, who is superior to them, and there is not the same spirit in all. For this reason he prohibited the shedding of human blood, giving as a reason the spirit of man is not like the spirit of animal. For the image of God made he man. Man has a rational form which is nobler than the spirit of animal. For this reason it was necessary to permit all animals without distinction, which he did in order to eradicate the former opinion and wipe off its memory. Now, but when the Torah was given to Israel, and the opinion in question has been wiped out, God prohibited certain animals which produces coarseness and ugliness of the soul. This is what we call tray for food that's not kosher, not permitted, not apt to be eaten by the Israelites. Nay, even the animals that were permitted were merely a concession to human lust and desire. In the same way as the Israelites were permitted women taken in war to satisfy their lust and ugly desires. Yes, unfortunately, we men are very coarse when it has to do with these issues. Thus the rabbis say concerning this verse, because thy soul desireth to eat flesh. There is a moral lesson in this expression, namely that one should not eat flesh unless he has the appetite for it. And this shows clearly that the eating of flesh was permitted only because of necessity. For this is the reason it was forbidden at the time of the creation. And though it is good for food, for the reason we mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, the same is true of wine. It is good food, it's permitted, and yet the Bible calls the Nazarite who abstains from it holy. At any rate, this shows that it was given a thing that may be forbidden and then permitted, and vice versa. And we may say, therefore, that these are matters in the divine laws which are forbidden for a certain length of time, and as God's wisdom's decrees, the latter are permitted in accordance with the same wisdom. There is no evidence in the Bible to the contrary. As to the kind of things that may be abolished or repealed, this, says Rabbi Alba, we'll take a look at in one of his next book, probably in book number 4. So stay tuned, join us, and here we end with Rabbi Alba's statement as he begins to look at chapter 16 regarding the Mosaic law, and he starts looking at the expressions there regarding the commandments in comparison to the laws of Adam, the laws of Noah, and the laws of Abraham. So stay tuned for our next video in this series, and you can also go to our website, our YouTube site, which is Ways of Israel, youtube.com/Ways of Israel, and join us there and be part of the learning lesson of Rabbi Joseph Alba. We're doing this in the memory of my good friend who passed away over a year ago, George Albo, or Yehuda Natan, and he's a descendant of the Albo family, coming out from Cuba, Bauta, Cuba. And I'm doing this in his memory because I made that commitment in his passing. May God bless you and all of yours. And remember, be part of the Ways of Israel. Join us by just downloading the application for membership. And also, very important, if you live in the area of Houston, Texas, if you live, and this is an announcement, if you live in the area of Houston, Texas, we have a a new community that's being organized. If you want to be part of that community in Houston, Texas, under the direction of our new associated rabbi out there, Rabbi Michael Perry, who is an incredible young man. He has a lot of incredible potentials, and we look that God would bless him out there in Houston, Texas, and be with him in everything that he's doing to try to bring together a new Sephardic Jewish community out there. So please, if you want to get in contact with him, send me a message. Be more than happy to put you in contact with him. And of course, if you live in Colombia, we also have other rabbis who are part of our organization, even in Fort Myers, Florida, and in Chile, and we have also Nicaragua, and we have soon we're preparing a rabbi in Cuba. So all of these areas that basically have been non-operational, we're working. Also in Venezuela, we're working on preparing also rabbis throughout Latin America. And if you want to be part of our group of rabbis to be preparation, send me a line and I'll put you what you need to do to get connected and be part of the Ways of Israel, or Los Caminos de Israel, and its new organizational structure as we're preparing new rabbis to deal with the new communities and the new need that is growing. Remember, our position regarding conversion is very open. We welcome all converts who've had a halakhic conversion. It doesn't have to be recognized by the Rabbanut. That's what makes us different than all the rest. But we will welcome you into our communities with open hands. Just need to be honest with the rabbi when you come to talk to him, and they will welcome you with open arms, as it should be the way of the rabbis to deal with Gerims coming to their Bet Knesset. Shalom, shalom, and a lot of blessing to you and all of yours. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero with the Ways of Israel.